It is now my pleasure to bring to the stage the president of independentvoting.org, Jackie Salit. She is, right ahead. She is currently writing a book, Independence Rising, that tells the story of the growth of the independent movement. It's due for release in early August of 2012, and I, for one, can't wait to read it. Please welcome Jackie Salit.
Hello, everybody. Great to see you. Before I start my official remarks, I want to ask you to take a look at me, because this is the last time you're going to see me in a dress. Because I have the distinct honor of having been cast in the part of James Madison in the Castillo Theater's upcoming production of Sally and Tom, the American Way. And so I'll be wearing breeches and ruffled shirts. And it opens on February 17th, and I hope you all will come out and see the production. December is awards season. A lot of awards being given out. We're very pleased, of course, to be hosting the Anti-Corruption Awards with our wonderful and distinguished honorees today, Ted Downing and Larry Sakin, who you'll be meeting in just a little while. Next weekend, there's another major awards ceremony going on. You might have read about it. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences is giving the Nobel Prize for Economic Science to Tom Sargent and Christopher Sims. And in reading about this award coming up next weekend, I was struck by two things. First, seemed like a good idea because I thought the science of economics needed some good PR right about now. They haven't done that well on the predictability front, and they certainly haven't done very well in protecting the people of this world from the consequences of the economic crisis that they failed to predict. But another thing I was struck by is that in reading about these two awardees, Sargent and Sims, I read that one of the reasons that they were being given this award is apparently they've done work on the reconsideration of traditional economic models, including, apparently, a reconsideration of models that they themselves were instrumental in creating. So I was very struck by this, and I thought that was a good thing. And I thought that perhaps, and this was something of a surprise to me, I thought that perhaps the Royal Academy of Science in Sweden and the not-so-Royal Academy of Anti-Corruption here in New York might have something in common, which is that we recognize that this is a time in history when we damn well better be reconsidering the traditional models in a whole lot of fields, in a whole lot of places, having to do with a whole lot of arenas. And we believe in that. Today's event, of course, as you know, is proudly hosted by the Independence Party of New York City. And we are a political party which began and continues to exist fundamentally as a reconsideration of what a political party is. In fact, we call ourselves an anti-party party, and we're very proud of that nomenclature. We think it's very important. Just a bit of history for those of you who don't know that term was actually coined, anti-party party, was actually coined by Dr. Fred Newman, the late Dr. Fred Newman, who passed away in July, an important leader of this organization and of this community. He coined this term actually in a conversation that took place in 2001 between him and Cathy Stewart and myself and Mike Bloomberg and some of Mike's advisors. This is before Mike had been elected mayor, but it was a meeting where we were discussing a possible partnership between the Independence Party and Mike Bloomberg in his mayoral bid in 2001, and we were talking about different issues that we had in common, and of course we brought to the table to him a discussion and a proposal for nonpartisan elections, for a top two system to be brought to New York City. And we had a whole discussion, and we explained to him how it worked, and we said, you know, there's 1 million independents in New York City who are locked out of the political process under the partisan system. We want to change that. We think that's unfair, that's undemocratic. 40% of the country today are independents. In New York, the 1 million people who are independents in New York City, 20% of them are African American, 24% are Latino, 11% are Asian American. Many, many, many of them are young people. They need to be included. And so we said this to Mike in this conversation, and he listened. He was very enthusiastic about it. He really got it right away. But then he turned to us and he said, but let me just ask you one question. He said, if nonpartisans, if the top two system were to be adopted here in New York City, then it would put the Independence Party out of business, wouldn't it? And Fred said to him, Mike, you know what? You're right. It would. But we want to be put out of business because we're an anti-party party. Obviously, we went on to support the mayor and to deliver his margin of victory in 2001 and to have a partnership that extended over 10 years. We continue the battle for nonpartisan elections. We haven't won it yet, but we're hoping, my friends, that you in Arizona will put it over the top out there, and then that'll put some pressure on the folks back here to make it happen. But as I say, that the reconsideration of traditional models is something that is very, very important to everything that we do. And it's very, very important, I think, to the two men who we're going to be honoring today. Let me just say they will be formally introduced in the formal part of the awards section, which is just about to come up. But I just wanted to say something personal to them, to Ted Downing and to Larry Sakin, and also to Carmen, Ted's wife. And, we had some time, we spent some time together yesterday going over the details of the Arizona situation and getting into the weeds on the thing. You know, it was really awesome because, like, you learn all this stuff about the politics and the conflicts and the vision that these gentlemen and others are trying to deliver. And at one point in the meeting, Ted kind of paused and he said, you know, he said something that I think we all agree on is that where change comes from, real change, qualitative change, meaningful change, comes from the outside, comes from the fringe. It doesn't come from the center of things. The center of things is prescribed and predetermined. Nothing new happens at the center. The new stuff, the radical stuff, the innovative stuff, the good stuff happens on the outside. And I said to Ted in this meeting with Harry Kresge and Nancy Ross, and I said, we're there, and we've been there. And we are a movement of outsiders who not only value the reconsideration of models, we work every single day to reimagine and recreate. The reconsideration of models is not a mental activity. It doesn't go on in the ivory tower. It goes on in the streets of Harlem and Brooklyn and the Bronx and Queens and all over this country. That's where new models are being built.